Temperatures in Wyoming this weekend were colder than the surface of Mars. A rancher warns that it's actually cold enough to sterilize bulls. And a pair of Wyoming Highway Patrol troopers make a house call for a ranching family cut off by the storm. We'll take a look at these stories and more today from Wyoming's largest news organization. I'm Wendy Core for Cowboy State Daily. It's been beyond chilly the past 4 days in Wyoming, even by the standards of the hardiest, cold-tempered Wyomingites. Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that with temperatures negative well into the double digits before factoring in wind chill, the Cowboy State has been in hunker-down, ride-it-out mode.
In Worland on Monday morning, the actual temperature was negative 36. So that's not counting the wind chill. That's the lowest temperature recorded in Worland, technically ever, although they've only been recording temperatures since 1960. And many other Wyoming communities would have experienced actual temperatures comparable to that, in addition to the wind chills that they were experiencing. So for that day in Wyoming, it was actually colder than the average temperature on the surface of Mars.
A Sheridan rancher warned that temperatures in Wyoming are so cold that there's a real chance that bulls could lose their stud potential. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland spoke to Peter Burgess, a Sheridan rancher and creator at video blog Wyo Rancher 307, who posted a warning to fellow ranchers.
He was warning everyone on Friday, it is so cold, lay out straw for your bulls. Otherwise, they will freeze their nuts and they won't be any good for you when it comes breeding time. And I called him like, this is a quirky video. And he said, I was having a little fun with it, but it's also a very real concern that everyone with bulls should be mindful of when it gets this cold.
Burgess said letting the known world know that Wyoming is cold enough to sterilize a bull is definitely a wake-up call to anyone who might be planning to move here. And a skier was killed Sunday morning after he was buried in a massive avalanche in the Salt River Range midway between Alpine and Afton. Cowboy State Daily's Jake Nichols reports that 41-year-old David Rice of Alpine set out with a friend to ascend a popular ski track outside Star Valley Ranch.
Well, the avalanche danger was high, new snow sitting on an old crust layer. It was a matter of when and where when it comes to a big slide. Where was Prater Canyon when? Sunday morning. It was a time bomb.
First responders said Rice was probably knocked unconscious during the event and likely died of trauma. I'll be back with more news right after this.
The weather is turning oh so frightful this time of year, but those excavation projects, they will persevere. I'm Jan Warren for One Call of Wyoming, here to remind you that no matter how big or how small your digging project is, contacting 811 2 full business days before you begin is required by state law. So stay safe unwrapping presents, not utility lines. From all of us at One Call of Wyoming, happy holidays.
Actor Pierce Brosnan has pleaded not guilty to illegal hiking in Yellowstone. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that the actor of James Bond fame entered his plea via a paper filing and asked the court to cancel a January 23rd court hearing.
He was supposed to come in person to the January 23rd hearing in Yellowstone, which would have been thrilling for Wyoming's female population, but that now has been canceled, and he is slated instead for a virtual status conference in February.
Brosnan was issued the citations December 26th over 2 alleged infractions from November 1st. One citation says the actor was walking in a thermal area. The other says he wandered into the Mammoth Terraces, a hilly conglomerate of hot springs mineral tiers, while the feature was closed to the public. And when this weekend's polar freeze forced a Douglas couple to reach out for help when their cars wouldn't start, the response showed them Wyoming may have cold winters, but also gigantic warm hearts. Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean spoke to Caitlin Clymer, who said when the weekend's polar vortex hit Wyoming, the bitter cold weather stranded the young family with cars that wouldn't start and a toddler in need of milk.
So here they are with a hungry toddler, and they're 25 miles outside of town. So she put out a little note on a Facebook group that she had recently joined to see if, anybody could help her out with some milk. And the surprise she got was when 2 Wyoming State troopers showed up with 2 half-gallon jugs of milk. She wasn't expecting that.
The 2 jugs that the troopers brought were just the right kind, and there was plenty to get the children through the freeze until one of the couple's vehicles will start again. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the subscribe button on CowboyStateDaily.com. I'm Wendy Core for Cowboy State Daily.